Hi, this is Pat Moorhead. Welcome back. Day 3 of the 6.5 Summit. Boy, this has been a great couple days here, and I am just excited as heck to talk about a topic that's important to investors, important to companies, important to employees, important to society as a whole, and that's what's going on with sustainability. And as you know, the theme is navigating troubled waters through practical innovation. And as Dan and I have said on the pod before, we really believe we're in a stage where we're getting to more, I'll call it practical sustainability. With that said, I am really excited to welcome Sarisa to the show. How are you?
Great. Thank you, Pat. Love to be here.
Yeah, it's been great getting to know you over the last couple years in multiple companies. And here we are in New York City at Ericsson's, maybe we'll call it East Coast HQ here. But it's great to see you.
Great to see you too. And see you in the office with the best view for sure.
No, I know. We got the Empire State Building and I guess Park Avenue. But anyways, it's beautiful down here. I wanted to ask you, so I gave the 6.5 point of view on this era that we're getting of practical sustainability, kind of moving from hey, it feels good, this is a good thing to do for the environment, and oh, by the way, it's good for business, to, this is good for business, and isn't this a good thing to do? Are you seeing the same sentiment type of shift that we are?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, I think over the last few years, we saw a lot of sustainability in corporate visions, or they were taking sustainability goals, whether they might have been...
I'll say it, greenwashing.
Right, possibly. There may not have been scientific goal measures attached to those. It's really shifted now. You're seeing it really integrated into ways of working. It's a business imperative. It's part of the operational, strategy, operations, and vision, not just vision. So no, it's really shifted gears. And of course, it makes sense. Energy is becoming more and more expensive.
Right.
It is, like you said, important to consumers and investors, but it's huge on the bottom line. If you look at our industry, about 30% of OPEX is energy in
That's
running
incredible.
networks, which is
I had no
huge,
idea.
right? And in the US, it's at least 20%. So anything that can impact that is a massive business gain, right? As well as good for your customers.
Yeah, one thing I've found is we can all agree with, right? Because I think my thesis on it is you have to find elements of agreement, work on them together, and move forward. But even some of your largest customers and some of the largest carriers have commitments as well, and you being a huge provider, whether it's equipment, software to make that work, that makes it very important for you as well. What are some of those commitments that you're seeing that carriers have made?
Yeah, we're seeing really strong commitments, for achieving net zero, 10 to 15 year timelines where they're really looking to fully impact. So they've taken science-based commitments. They are also supporting that within the ecosystem, that we're doing proper measurements and so on. But with this kind of expense on it, there's a big challenge for us, right? And it's not a simple or direct view of things. Yeah,
it's not. In fact, providing the equipment, the software, and the services to a lot of carriers out there, there's a lot of variables, right? I mean, you're connecting to a multitude of devices. It's not just smartphones, right? It can also be industrial IoT devices, consumer IoT devices, and then the data has to go the other way, which is to the hyperscaler providers, to the L3s of the world, to basically get on the internet itself. What are, from your point of view, what makes that unique? I mean, what do those variables mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a unique set of challenges overall. And in basic terms, we have a service that is critical infrastructure, right?
Oh yes, I glossed over that, by the way. It actually has to work, and it doesn't.
It has to work really, really well. It's critical infrastructure. It is highly distributed, as you were saying. Not only different devices, but if you look at it, it's tens of thousands of cell sites, so
Right.
highly distributed. And guess what? It's got an insatiable demand going on it for growth. So it's a very, detailed set of complex variables that we have to address all of them. And we have to take a much more holistic approach to redefine that. We also, interestingly enough, have to change some other things. There's other challenges intrinsic to our business, like the KPIs. How do you measure, the performance of a network? What is best network? Well, we're not in the days of can you hear me now,
Right.
right? We need to change those and have a more holistic view that looks at the wanted performance and the energy consumption and balances that. And, for us, we're really looking at how do you redefine what is the best network and its performance and energy consumption.
I mean, we very well could see in the future where best network, it looks very different, probably in the next, at least the next 5 years on the definition, as these pressures, particularly around energy, and then the capabilities that we have from machine learning and generative AI. It's been a great time with your CEO here, in fact, talking about a lot of these future types of technologies. So let's get back to a little bit, what is your approach to sustainability at the company, and maybe even talk about some things that might be unique and different to address those unique needs, or maybe different from other people in the category?
Well, I'll set a little context to talk about our approach. When you look at 4G to 5G, there's a couple of things. One, you've had like a 300x increase in demand, and when you look at Ericsson products and you think about our approach, 93% of our emissions are from our products, from our customers' usage of our products.
Right.
So where we can impact is there. And then finally, we talked about how much energy they use. Well, 75% of the network energy goes on the RAN, the radio access network. That's on us.
That's the real energy sucker, right?
Yeah, it's the energy hub, let's be honest. Yes.
Yeah.
So we've got to solve for that. And we have a holistic approach. We look at, sustainability in the evolution of the network and network planning from day one. We look at the modernization and expansion of the network, really the hardware, the new radios and so on. And thirdly, intelligent automation. And this is rarely where we bring in the AI, the ML, and the automation to change the metrics on this.
Well, the great part is you're actually using, earlier in the week, we interviewed Nicholas, and he did talk about, hey, we're already using machine learning and we've been working on generative AI for the past 3 years. It seems like the predictive nature of AI, right, and generative AI, assuming is better than ML, which is better than, let's say, analytics-based AI, it would seem that prediction in the future would be one of these important things. But what does matter is the here and now. The challenge is you have to plan so many years in advance. Okay, if I look at the amount of years it takes to even get a G out, let's say 10 years, and with 5G, it's, again, my definition, maybe not yours, it's more than a G, okay? it's extensive, it's just a radically different way of network. It must take a lot of lead time to be able to plan for this.
Right, but we took these goals a long time ago.
Yeah.
This is not new.
And I forget, and quite frankly, Sweden is a leader in all of this, always has been. I remember 30 years ago in a prior job where kind of leading in employee safety of equipment that quite frankly permeated the entire globe. So this is not something that's new for Ericsson either.
Not new, and also if we looked at our future and we said, that insatiable demand for traffic, if the energy curve followed that, it would be impossible. And so, in fact, with our 5G solutions, although we've seen a 300x increase in data, we've only seen a 1.6x increase in power usage. 2022, we delivered a radio portfolio of 5G solutions that were 10x more efficient. So yes, we've been working on this for years. But yes, and then you also have a lot more pieces to the solution in driving intelligence. You can have huge impact with the radio itself. Obviously, if you can replace 3 radios with 1, multi-band and so on, huge, and passive cooling, all of the different pieces of it. But then also when you look at AI and ML being predictive on traffic, when you can turn resources on and off. It's like, you're not going to keep the lights on in the basement when everybody's upstairs.
Exactly. And that, I love the analogy because that's exactly where, at least when we talk to you, that's where you're headed. So can you talk about some real world deployments in action? You talked about the equipment. There's a 10x spectral efficiency that came inherently. Sometimes we gloss over
energy efficiency. Yeah, that's huge though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we say it so easily now.
I know. But 10x, that is literally an order of magnitude
more efficient
improvement here. I don't want to gloss over that. But how have some of the carriers, some of the MNOs, any specific examples you can share with the audience?
Sure, absolutely. Yes, hardware modernization, because of all the effort that's gone into that, has the biggest impact. So for example, Vodafone, with their site modernization, they got 43% improvement in energy consumption.
Right.
Absolutely huge. And a lot of people say, oh, well, but 5G's built out. Well, no, it's not in most of the world, and it's only halfway there. So there's a lot still to be modernized, but there's also low-hanging fruit in terms of software optimization. We worked with Rogers and deployed sleep mode software to optimize that. They have now got 25 gigahertz hour savings.
Oh my gosh.
Per year. So 2,000 homes could be powered by that every single year, by that software deployment. But for me, the really interesting, exciting stuff is the AI and ML deployment.
Yeah.
And, this is where, we've got such complex networks with thousands of sites. And, we just did a trial with Far EasTone in Taiwan. AI and ML optimization deployed got 25% savings in energy consumption with 0 impact on KPIs. That to me is just
And by the way,
amazing.
all these numbers that you're giving on raw power savings isn't even factoring in the massive increase in amount of data that's going through here.
Right. Yes.
Right. And that's that's one of the things that I think
do more
is,
with less.
Exactly. that I think is most impressive here.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: Does ORAN versus RAN figure in this at all? It would seem to me that, and this is, by the way, this is true in any type of more open, typically open is less efficient, okay? Because it's less optimized. And I'm curious, how does that factor in with RAN, today's RAN versus ORAN? It would seem like it would be a lot harder with ORAN to pull this off.
Well, I'll say something right up front. ORAN or purpose-built,
yes,
we have the most efficient portfolio, the most efficient solutions in the world, period.
Yeah.
Just flat out. Not only by us, but by third-party assessment as well.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether you're talking purpose-built or ORAN. Secondly, obviously, we've invested very heavily in our Asics and lots of optimization, and that's a huge area of leadership in R&D for us. But that said, we're also working deeply with our partners in Cloud Run, with Intel and AMD, right?
Yeah.
And doing intelligence with them so that we can turn on and off cores and resources as we need them. And we've just delivered 2, I'll say RApps, but try and put it in English, but 2 sustainability automation applications for the RAN that works not only for purpose-built, but for ORAN too, to deliver those same kinds of AI and ML gains in sustainability for ORAN or for purpose-built. So, we're investing across the board.
Yeah, and both of our backgrounds, we spent a little bit of time at chip companies, and if there's one thing that's just been true forever, is there is this sliding scale with general compute versus, let's say, ASIC, right? In fact, they're on, they're essentially on opposite spectrums. And the more efficient comes with Asic, the less efficient and a little bit easier to program comes on general purpose. And I know that factors in here, but I do know that we will find a happy medium. I don't think in the spirit of, quote unquote, more openness, we're going to go in a direction that's less efficient. Right?
No,
We're going to have to find a
absolutely.
way to get there, and it's great to see,
Yeah.
right, the numbers that are coming out from Ericsson. It says, hey, regardless of which way you go, we're still the most efficient. I love that.
And,
this is
and
great.
we'll keep delivering solutions for
Right.
this.
So I wanted to wrap up here, look a little bit and talk about there's a multiplying effect that happens when you get more efficient and sustainable. And can you talk a little bit about how you're looking at the overall economics of it, the impact to society as we move forward based upon what Ericsson is doing, not only on its own, but broadly as a company?
Right. So I think, we are part of that larger ICT industry, which consumes 1.4%, I think has 1.4% of global emissions. But it's being viewed as and I think we certainly view it as a way to make other industries more sustainable. It's assumed by the industry we could get a 15% impact on emissions. We invest in that with our smart factory ourselves.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, we're doing our part in that all of this intelligence has to be connected, the intelligent networks, and being able to run those applications and those automation features that will become which will deliver great efficiencies, right? Whether that be with embodied carbon in the products or whether it's actually the power to run it. So I think we have a big role to play there, and we have a big role to play in not only our own targets, but also our customers' targets and delivering the solutions that will enable that. And like I said, redefine what a best network is.
Yes, and it would seem logical to me also that whether it's data coming in or data coming out, there are things that you and your networks have to connect to. And that would have an impact, meaning when you turn off something at a certain point, whatever that endpoint is needs to handshake and make that happen. And it seems logical to me that it would use less power, and then going into the internet as well would be the same thing. So I see, ironically, a network effect of optimizing network, and I do believe that carriers in particular are going to be making more decisions, or they need to be making more future decisions based on a more optimized and intelligent network.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have to use these new software, and particularly AI solutions, to make use of the data, that insight we have across the whole network and tens of thousands of sites, to optimize it down to the site level for every user there. You can't do that manually.
Exactly.
Right. And so really delivering those kinds of database solutions with a great deal more predictive elements in them will help us have that impact for them.
Exciting stuff. Sarisa, great to see you again, and welcome to the 6.5 Summit. Thank you for bringing your insights on not just what Ericsson is doing, but also the bigger effects of what the company is doing with its partners and impact on society as a whole. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to share the story and share the conversation.
Yeah, great to see you again.
You too. Cheers.
So this is Pat Moorhead signing off here with this great conversation we're having with Ericsson on sustainability. Stay tuned, more content coming for day 3, and if you have the time, go back. It's on time delay. Check out day 1, check out day 2, check out day 1 interview with Nicholas Heuveldop, Ericsson North American CEO. Take care wherever you are on the planet. Good night.